Hey everybody, what's going on? Today I want to talk about Skartorsis. I've been a pretty big fan of this champ for a long time, and the reason that I didn't use him more is because his AI used to be bad. He's got a nice kit, but he prioritized the wrong things to be used in the way that I thought was the most effective way to use him, so I only used him manually, and I don't play the game manually much, as I think a lot of you don't either. But now that you can program the AI, we can set him up to be very effective, and he can be a great candidate for especially some arena teams, some ways to counter some issues you may be running into with the speed meta in arena. The speed meta is not nearly as impactful as it used to be, but it's still there. And if you're having trouble figuring out how to counter some of these speed teams, this could be a good way to do it. So similar to like a Hackhorn Smash Lord, I did a video on him a while back. Similar principle here. Hackhorn may be a little bit of a better candidate as far as the initial here, but if you don't have one, Skartorsis is going to be fantastic for what we're going to talk about today. He's also going to be really good for you in dungeons and some of the PvE content. So we'll take a look at him, then we'll showcase him in a few different areas of the game, and hopefully you can come away from this with a little bit more of an appreciation for this champ, because he's really good, and there's not a lot of champs that do what he does in the game. So right out of the gate, he's got a speed lead in dungeons of 33%. That's a really substantial speed lead, so especially if you've pulled him earlier on in the game, and you're working your way through, this is huge. This is huge for PvE content because, as you know, speed kills, right? You always want your champs to be fast, and I think a lot of the times, especially newer players as you're learning, you get told to focus speed. There's so much emphasis put on speed, and I think perhaps you're focusing speed a little too much to try to get that speed up and your other stats are suffering. This gives you a lot of wiggle room, right? This is better than, this is almost 3 speed sets worth of speed in most cases, right? So this is a lot of extra speed. It leaves you room to make your champs more tanky or do more damage or whatever it is they need to do. So this gives you a really nice cushion, and again, he can contribute really well in the dungeon. So let's talk a little bit about his skills real quick. He's got an AoE A1, which is nice. This makes him a good candidate for any sort of crowd control set. Stun set primarily is a good way to go. Sleep set if you don't have a good stun set, but understand that if you have AoE hitters, they're going to get woken back up. Stun set's really nice on him, though. Also a 30% chance of stealing 1 random buff from each enemy. This is also really nice. If the enemies have a lot of buffs on him, he can buff himself up really quickly with this A1 if you put a little bit of accuracy on him. So that's pretty nice, too. But he's not a big heavy hitter. Obviously, he's a support. Crowd control set's really good on him, though. This is the only skill I believe that he hits with. So anytime he hits, he'll be hitting with an AoE. Stun set's going to do really well on him. Other sets are going to do well, too, and we're going to talk about that. But right out of the gate, crowd control is a good way to go. On his A2, he's got an attack buff and a crit rate buff on all allies for 2 turns. This is on a 3-turn cooldown. Fairly standard, just standard support stuff. He buffs the team. Again, great for dungeons, especially if you've got your AoE nukers. If you're going to make him a staple in your team for a while, you can consider this when you're building your nukers. As long as he's faster and he gets these buffs up first, that leaves you a huge cushion on your crit rate. You don't have to focus crit rate so hard, which again, especially in the early game, makes your life so much easier. So now you don't have to focus speed and you don't have to focus crit rate that hard on your champs that you're wanting to do damage. So there's a lot more room for attack. There's a lot more room for crit damage. There's a lot more room for accuracy, things like that. So great little skill. He's going to keep him up pretty regularly, and yeah, it's very helpful. And then this is why I like him so much. This is what I think makes him so good. Heals all allies, then removes all debuffs from them. I do wish he would cleanse first, because if there's a heal block up, you're going to miss the heal. That's annoying. The amount by which each ally is healed increases according to the number of debuffs on them. The amount by which each ally's turn meter is filled increases to the number of debuffs on them. So if you've got a lot of debuffs and he cleanses, he's going to heal better. He's going to increase turn meter more. And you can get this down to a 5-turn cooldown. This is really nice, and this is where it's going to come into play, where I'm going to talk about how to use them in arena to counter some of these cleave teams. You kind of have to be deliberate about the way you build him if you want to use him for that. But the good news is you can build him this way and he can still fit in to your PvE comps, right? Now, if you wanted to put him in a stun set, if you needed the extra safety, then you're going to struggle a little bit to use him exactly this way in arena. But he still can be used this way. We're just going to talk about why the set that I have on him is, I think, so effective. A quick look at the masters I've put on him here. I wanted to get him down to more resistance for what we're doing with him. There's a few different ways you could go here, but ultimately, increasing his output with a support tree, and then over here just offering support. The counterattack is a really nice one, especially again if you've got a crowd control set on. But it can also be nice on any set because he counterattacks. He's got potential to steal buffs when he counterattacks, right? So he could take away buffs on a team that just got buffed. So that could be pretty nice. Like before the team even gets to do their whole cycle, he could strip some of those buffs away and take away some of their effectiveness. So that's nice. But in this case, for what we're doing with him, I wanted to just get his resistance up. So there's a quick look if you want to mimic that. These will be fine. He doesn't have any debuffs that you need to be concerned with or anything like that. So here is what we're doing with him. I've put him on a frenzy set. And the reason is because what he's designed to do specifically for this type of setup is survive the first hit in arena and be given a turn, right? So we've got him semi-fast. I'm not trying to build him in a way that's going to make him platinum viable right now. I tried to keep it fairly reasonable because I want you to see how this can translate to lower in the game, right? I didn't put my absolute best gear on him. I want you to get the idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to take him into arena just like this, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about as far as how to use him. But the idea is you go in with kind of a bruiser style team. Some of them can be squishy if you have a reviver, because understand, he's going to take the hit. He's going to get turn meter. The team's probably going to have some debuffs, so he's going to heal and cleanse, and then he's going to give the team turn meter. So as long as everybody's semi-tuned or semi-fast, even a little bit faster than him maybe, because again, he's going to be given turn meter as he loses HP, and if you're taking the first hit, you're probably going to take a pretty hard hit, so he could pop ahead and steal the turn, give whoever's alive turn meter. If you've got a reviver, the reviver comes in, brings whoever back. There's a few different ways to do it. Again, we're going to talk about this as we go in and play, but this is the idea for him to kind of recover and turn the tide back in your favor after not getting the first turn. Cleanse your team, get him back in the fight, and then hopefully you can recover and get your buffs up and get your setup done, because generally a go first team, if they don't win on the first turn, they're going to be in trouble, right? They kind of blow their whole load on that first turn, and then they're screwed if they didn't win. So this is kind of what this is. It's a little bit of a slower thing to do, but can be really effective. And then again, we'll show them in some PvE content too. So let's go ahead and hop over into Arena and see if we can find some good teams to showcase this against. Okay, so this is going to be kind of a textbook example here of how Skartorsis can work in here. Now, this is not necessarily a comp I recommend. This is just kind of something I threw together. But you see, we took the hit. He gets the turn. He throws a little turn meter to the rest of the team. We get to slip in and take our turns, right? So Seal lays down some stuns. Ashelon lays down some damage. And Sandlash is going to clean it up. And then we can just auto it out. They'll take care of the rest. But again, this is not like a comp built for this. I just threw in some champs that I thought were not unreasonable, right? I don't want to throw in a bunch of overpowered champs and kind of outshine what we're trying to showcase here, which is Skartorsis' ability to do what he does by taking the second turn. So let's hop to another fight real quick. This is another perfect example. This is probably even a better example right here. You see everybody else but him catches debuffs because he's got the resistance, and he is going to now get his turn. He's going to cleanse, he's going to heal, he's going to give turn meter, and everybody else is going to come in behind him and clean it up. Now, again, there's better synergies, there's better teams to be built here. The point here is just to showcase Skartorsis. Now, this is a bit of a different example, something you could play around with as far as the speeds of the champs. You're going to notice here we're going to take this hit, and Syl is going to come in and go first. This is something to consider in certain situations because if Ashelon had gone down, then Syl could take the turn, bring him back, and then Skartorsis could come in with his A3, cleanse, heal, and boost turn meter, and have Ashelon that much closer to getting another turn, right? Because obviously when Syl brings him back, he's not automatically in the fight, but that's one way to do it too. Here's an example of another team. This one I actually like a little bit better. This is a semi-decent comp. We've got Ashelon in still for damage. We've got Broadmaw and Rosin. So you'll see Skartorsis gives the turn. Broadmaw brings back Ashelon, who's under the block damage. Rosin gets to throw out that reset, and then Ashelon gets to come in and do his thing, right? So this is a pretty fun little comp too. Same principle though, right? Where it's still roughly the same setup, just utilizing some different champs. Broadmaw and Rosin are both fusible permanently, and then Ashelon was fusible too. So just another example of a comp that could work. And then here we got a Dragon 20 run. Again, You know, you could use him in the higher stages, but I figured 20 is a decent enough place to showcase him. And we've just kind of thrown in some champs. We've got Rosin, because Rosin's, of course, amazing. Ashelon, who I'm a big fan of, was not a hard fusion. I feel like a lot of you probably have Ashelon. We've got Eothar in here for some poisons for once we get to the boss, and then Duke for Duck or Duke, however you want to say it, for, you know, all the stuff he does, the defense downs and the attack downs for the waves, and he's got a really nice kit too. But this is a pretty big mix and match comp here. We've got Skartorsis in the lead again for the speed buff. There's not a lot of speed on any of these champs, but with that speed lead, he is helping us run circles around the other team a little bit. So again, just a good example. He's going to be crit rate buffing to help us put out more damage. He's attack buffing to help Ashelon and Eothar do more damage. He's going to be cleansing any debuffs we get, giving us heals and turn meter, stealing any buffs the enemy team gets. And again, you could throw him on a stun set or something, and he would offer a decent amount of security in the waves. He's a cool champ because you could build him a lot of different ways, depending on what you want to get out of him. You could go crowd control set if you wanted to focus the control in the waves. You could go high accuracy if you wanted to focus on the buff strip capability. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different ways you could go, but basically speed and tankiness is really all you need to get on him for him to be able to do his job. Everything else is something extra, or if you wanted to focus something else. So there's tons of different swaps you can make for this team, and the speed lead alone makes Skartorsis really valuable here, but the rest of his kit too. It's nice. He doesn't get enough love. He's pretty usable across the whole game. He offers a lot of support and protection, and increased damage output for the rest of the team. He's doing a little bit of something important every time he gets a turn. So he deserves more love. If you got him in the vault, for sure, get him out and start using him. And that's pretty much the gist. Lots of different ways you can use the champ. I think he's really good. And hopefully you came away from this again with a little bit more of an appreciation for Skartorsis, because he's pretty dope, man. He's fun. I do actively use him in certain situations in Arena. I may build something specifically around him for 3v3 Arena. And I don't know, maybe I'll play with him a little more in Doom Tower. I had a little more footage, but I figure you get the idea of it right now. So that's it. I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you got something out of it. Like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. And we'll see you later.